In the eye of the storm, the Australians caught up in the UK's Omicron crisis. Tonight, what's happening there and what it can tell us about our soaring infection rate and what it means as we head towards Christmas.
I'm one of many of my friends and colleagues that have got COVID right now.
It's feeling kind of cautious again.
Yeah, everyone's crossing everything, hoping for no lockdowns before Christmas.
They're the Aussies in London as the historic city comes to terms with COVID's latest variant, Omicron.
Hello, Seb.
Wearing her typical warm smile, you wouldn't think Georgie Parrott is currently in isolation with COVID.
So, I mean, it started as a tickle in my throat, which is not one of the normal symptoms, but it quite quickly became all the stuff that you read about. But yeah, it's just absolutely exhausting.
The Sydney-born restaurant manager doesn't know if she's caught the latest strain or not.
I don't know if I've got Omicron. The symptoms do match what they're saying, but they said that they would let you know, but I think they just stopped telling people because the cases went absolutely mental. Yeah, I had fever for the first 2 days, and I really wouldn't wish that on anybody, but it's just lots of water, herbal teas and painkillers, and that's pretty much all you can do.
The 38-year-old has been double jabbed, but is hoping her friends stay alert to the new strain.
Yeah, I've had both jabs, and I had just signed up as quick as possible. I'd signed up for the booster. I think a lot of people just think, oh, it's okay, I'm vaccinated, but I'm vaccinated and it still happens. So yeah, it just needs to be a bit more sensible right now, I think.
Semi-retired Lyle Barwick moved to the UK for a change 7 years ago and has been watching the Omicron situation develop.
Yes, it's all over the media here. For example, this morning I saw on the BBC website that there was about 10,000 cases just yesterday, and it seems to be increasing by about that amount each day. So yeah, it's probably the main news item over here.
He's fortunately been spared from COVID, despite being a regular user of London's famous tube train system.
You're required to wear masks on public transport and in shops, supermarkets and so on. But again, the problem is some people may not be familiar with the rule, but some people just don't follow them. It's most annoying, really.
Good afternoon.
In their latest update, World Health Organization spokesperson Dr. Maria Van Kerkhove addressed Omicron.
We do have initial reports that suggest that Omicron is less severe compared to Delta. Now, don't be fooled. Even if we have a virus that causes less severe disease, we still do everything that we can to reduce transmission.
That means a continuous and inclusive vaccination effort. There were another 12,133 Omicron cases recorded in the UK yesterday, part of a total of more than 82,000 new COVID cases in general. But vaccination rates are also strong, with more than 900,000 vaccines administered yesterday, 830,000 of which were booster shots. It means that with more than 80% of people 12 years or older double jabbed, the UK is now closing in on having half of their population triple jabbed. For that reason, the UK government hasn't indicated plans for lockdowns before Saturday, but they are keeping options open, according to Government Health Secretary Sajid Javid.
We do have to challenge data and underlying assumptions. I think that is appropriate. So there are no guarantees in this pandemic. I don't think at this point we just have to keep everything under review.
A lockdown-free Christmas is comforting for UK-based Aussies, hoping to spend the big day with family and friends.
I'm hoping Christmas is looking good. I've got a housemate, so I've got a full house full of Australians, and we're all planning a big Christmas lunch together.
Nine's London cameraman, Cade Thompson.
I'm actually booked in tomorrow for my booster, and a couple of my friends have already had the booster, so they're really trying to push on that point here, getting the booster in the wake of the Omicron hitting London.
Maddie Stonehill moved to London from Sydney in 2012. The mother of two is a school teacher and battled COVID last year.
We went back to school September 2020, and then within 2 weeks I got it and my taste and smell went. That's what my trigger was. And then my taste and smell, honestly, has only just come back. Wow. So about, over a year.
Maddie's been watching vaccination rates climb, which has given the community some confidence of a more traditional Christmas.
And most people I know and talk to on that page, just they'll get a booster. If they test positive, then of course I'll isolate. But other than that, no one's freaking out, really, to be honest.
Speaking of boosters, Maddie is looking forward to a boost in family morale with a trip to Sydney planned in the new year where Maddie's parents can cuddle the grandkids.
They're beside themselves, I think. I think my mum's she's bought nappies, she's bought everything that, she's an early childhood teacher. So she, this is what she wants to be doing, looking after her grandchildren. So fingers crossed.
Now, Professor John Caldwell is an epidemiologist at the Kirby Institute, and he joins me now. Professor, thanks for coming on the show. So we're hearing 12,000 cases a day in the UK there in that story. But how many are severely ill? And is that what we're looking at now?
I think that is a key question, Layla. The question is, how serious is this new variant in terms of the disease that it causes? And we will get data from the UK very soon on that.
Yeah, people don't seem to be really alarmed at this latest outbreak because of the numbers in hospital. Is that fair, or should we be more worried?
Look, it's early days, and particularly in Australia, and we do need to keep an eye on what's happening across in Europe, and particularly in the UK, which always produces excellent data in a very prompt fashion. There are some early suggestions from South Africa that this variant does cause less severe disease, but that's in a very different setting to what we have in Australia. In South Africa, many people would have had exposures to natural infection several times, and their immunity may be naturally boosted, whereas in our population it may be a different response, and we just don't know as yet. The other thing that it appears quite clear is that the vaccinations, the 2 doses that we already have, are much less effective against Omicron than they are against Delta.
So I understand that you're concerned that some of the mandates are being wound back, with regards to masks and QR codes. Have we jumped the gun on that, in your opinion?
Well, our governments have made very good decisions over a very difficult 2 years and have controlled this virus, this pandemic, very well in this country compared to many other countries around the world. With this scenario, what we've seen is that the opening up plans were really based on what we knew about Delta. Delta, of course, was the last wave of the virus, and we knew that Delta was transmitted in a certain way, it caused disease in a certain way, and the vaccines protected very effectively. What we have now is a new variant. It's a very different version of the virus, and we know that it's transmitted much faster than Delta, but we don't know how well the vaccines protect, and we don't know how much serious disease it's going to cause.
So what are we not...
So that means over the next few weeks, as that information comes together, whether it's from overseas or whether it's from our own observations, we want to be in the best possible position to control things so we don't have a huge explosion of cases that might go bad if we've made the wrong decision.
OK, well, the Premier of New South Wales says he's treating the population like adults. I mean, we do know a lot about COVID. We've been living it for a couple of years. Can we be trusted to make sensible decisions, or would you prefer to see mandates?
Well, I think individual decisions are really important, and I totally agree with that premise that we are all individuals and can make decisions. But I think it's also equally important that our decision-making is seen as a partnership with the government. It's the community and the government working together. And in that sense, if we call them mandates or guidance that certain behaviours activities are compulsory, I think is very helpful for a large proportion of the population to make sure that we can achieve those goals.
So what would you say about Christmas, about A, family gatherings, and B, travelling to places?
Yeah, so the comments that we made this morning, that my colleagues Sharon Lewin from the Doherty Institute and Professor Greg Dorr also from the Kirby Institute, the comments we made about restrictions were nothing about lockdowns, not about going back to what we've seen over the course of the last year. It's about some measures that can be put in place relatively straightforwardly, particularly compulsory mask wearing in indoor settings, and also restrictions on those indoor settings where large numbers of people gather in close proximity and there's alcohol served and people are a little bit disinhibited. So those are the sorts of things we're talking about. We are certainly not talking about stopping families getting together for Christmas celebrations. And there are many, many ways that families can make themselves as safe as possible in those settings. And those things include making sure that the sorts of events they hold are as, let's just say, if possible, outdoors or in settings that are outdoor-like, so there's plenty of ventilation, and also that they are keeping a little bit of distance, particularly for people who are more vulnerable, the elderly relatives. Some families I've heard of are even going to the efforts of getting rapid antigen tests for the people in the family before the event, and that's if they have someone in the group who is vulnerable and who they want to make sure is not exposed. So there are many ways that families can be very safe.
Well, yes, whether it leads to hospitalisation or not, we definitely don't want Santa bringing us a case of COVID as we head into the new year. Thank you very much, Professor John Caldwell.
It's my pleasure.